Per for the introduction. Our company is based in Moscow, Russia. We have started over 20 years ago. And actually, our first commercial product was about password cracking. It was a cracker for zipper hives. We have done it for ourselves, just because we forgot our own password. And then we decided to try to start to sell it. And after about 2 weeks, we got the first order from the FBI. And we decided that could be a good idea to develop such kind of software. And since then, we have developed the full range of password cracking software and selling it to law enforcement all over the world. But today, I'm going to talk about something different. About 6 or 7 years ago, we started another direction in our company related to mobile and cloud forensics. From our customers that are working mostly for law enforcement, we learned that they're much more interested in breaking the encryption and getting data from mobile devices and from the cloud. It's usually much more interesting data there. So we have started. Our first product about mobile forensics was for breaking passwords, also for iTunes backup, and that was the first on the market. And after that, later, we started to explore the different clouds. Started also with Apple iCloud, then we made a product for Google, and was really surprised how many information is collected there, and not all of them can be downloaded with Google Takeout. So for today, we'll talk about the iCloud security, and there were really interesting talks earlier today and yesterday about the authentication, about access, about two-factor authentication. But I think a couple of things were missing, and they're really important. How secure your data is actually in the cloud. What if someone get a physical access to that data, to the servers? And what someone, whether it is a hacker or someone working for law enforcement, can get from your iCloud or any other cloud account if they have proper credentials? What if they have your password? And do they really need the second factor? What if they have both? What information can be accessed and what not? We know that there's quite a lot of data in the cloud available, and we'll check how secure it is. There is a kind of timeline related to Apple iOS and iCloud. iCloud appeared first time about 7 years ago with iOS 5, and the next year we released the software to download iCloud backups. But that was actually my idea. I came to the developer and said, why not to try to download iCloud backups? He said, for what? You can always restore the backup to the actual device. But we still decided that it might be really interesting and useful for people, and for usual regular customers and for law enforcement as well. Then we realized a lot of very interesting things: how the data is stored, how it is encrypted. We learned that 3 last backups are stored in the cloud and that they're incremented, and how they're split by chunks, and every chunk is encrypted, and what actual physical servers they're stored on. Next year, the iCloud keychain was introduced by Apple. Almost immediately we tried to get access to it, but it was really much harder than getting access to the iCloud backups and to other data. It was successful, but only several years later. Only in 2014, two-step verification has been introduced by Apple, and at that time, it was protecting only your Apple purchases at the Apple Store for the software and for music, and 2SV didn't protect iCloud backups. And you know what happened next? You probably remember that in August 2014, Celebgate, when the private pictures of over 100 celebrities were leaked, and they were taken from their iCloud accounts. And 2 years later, we realized that that several persons used our software to do that. I don't know, should we be proud of that or not? But anyway, that happened. And that's the same year, and probably in the same month, the iCloud account of Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev was also cracked. We never know who did that, and who actually, what software has been used, but anyway. So it is a huge security risk. But soon after that, Apple introduced the 2SV for iCloud account, for iCloud backups as well. And a bit later, iOS 8.1 has been released with the iCloud photo library. I have decided to include that item there because that means that by default, all your pictures made with your iPhone immediately go to the iCloud, even if your iCloud backups are not enabled. Of course, you can disable that option too. With iOS 9, two-step verification has been changed to two-factor authentication. And for some time, for about 2 years, I think, they coexisted. And later, Apple allowed only to enable 2FA, but not 2SV. And I should say that 2FA is much more secure. By default, the second factor is being sent not by SMS, which is not secure, but with a push notification. And also, if someone trying to access your iCloud account, you get the notification on all your trusted devices immediately at the same second, including the actual location of the computer of iOS device this account has been accessed to. And there were also other security measures. And Apple started to push aggressively the 2FA, and it was really a good idea, always when installing setting up the new iPhone or transferring from backup or installing the new version, you always get a warning that it is highly recommended to 2FA. And also the same year with iOS 11, the health data is started to sync between the devices and the iCloud. I don't remember, unfortunately, is it enabled by default or not? I think it is disabled by default, but many people enable because it is really convenient and allows you to sync across devices. With iOS 11.4, messages, including iMessage and SMS, also going to the cloud. It was actually promised to release it with iOS 11. But I don't know the reason for delays. It was in first 3 beta versions of iOS 11. Then this just disappeared and then appeared again in some later versions, also in beta. And it is actually only in iOS 11.4 release. And it is still not working really stable. There are still a lot of bugs syncing the messages across devices. And with iOS 12, there is a nice feature called screen time. It is enabled by default, and a lot of data is collected on the iPhone, and it can be also synced across devices through the iCloud. This year, Apple has made several nice moves, improving the security. I also mentioned the messages and screen time. And I should know that those 2 features, I mean, not the feature itself, the syncing that data with the cloud, is only possible if you enable 2FA, because Apple probably decided that it's much more secure, and that's a right move. Also, some changes have been made to authentication tokens. So some time ago, we realized how to access iCloud accounts using just the tokens extracted from the proper authenticated iOS device from Mac or Windows computer. And so getting the data even if you don't have the password and even without that second factor, it is now much harder. The tokens are now tied to the computer. And we are now looking for a workaround and really close to that. And for the combination of iOS 11.2 and later versions and 2-factor authentication, for now, we cannot download iCloud backups anymore, even if we have the iCloud password and a second factor and anything else what is needed. So there are some checks that are being done by the iCloud service that actually verify that the downloading process has been initiated from the actual iOS device, but not from the computer. We'll also find a workaround. We're also really close to that. Okay, to understand how secure your data, first have a look what data is actually stored in the cloud. And it's not a very easy question as you may think. The first thing to try is just to go to iCloud settings on your iPhone. There are quite a lot of buttons, and with every new iOS version, you get a couple of new ones. But actually not all the categories are listed there. For example, try to find an option to disable call log syncing with the cloud. We have found that maybe about a year and a half ago, we have contacted several journalists about that. Hey, see that Apple doesn't say that, and there is no option to disable. But once you enable the iCloud in general, you immediately get all your incoming and outgoing calls, the metadata coming to the cloud. Why is that? The day later, I have received the call on my mobile phone from Apple, and there were two people from Apple on the line, one from marketing department, I think, the second one from the security department. I have explained in details what we have found, and also I even mentioned that this is not about the continuity feature, about accepting the incoming call on the other device. This is absolutely not, and not related. You can disable continuity, and still all your call logs will go to the cloud. The next day, Apple issued the official statement explaining that this is only for user convenience, and this is only about the continuity feature. So we had to publish the a blog article about that. Some options actually require the iCloud keychain to be enabled in order to work. And it is also not obvious what is really under the iCloud drive. And in fact, there is a lot of third-party application data. There is a nice cloud kit evolved from Apple. You can use the iCloud for storage and also for syncing your data. And many applications can create their own backups on the iCloud drive. There is an iCloud like an add-on in both Windows and macOS, and you can see some files, but mostly documents on the iCloud drive, but not the third-party application data, actually. You don't have an idea what is stored there. Checklist number 2, it's a very short and simple one. You can go just to iCloud.com and see what categories are there, and you will not see much. Contacts, calendars, the mail. Anybody is using iCloud mail? I don't think so. Notes and things like that. Not too much. The next thing is much better. That's a privacy.apple.com site. It first appeared and has been seriously improved with the new European law GDPR. And you actually, all the companies has been forced to allow users to see what data is available on them, and allowing you also to correct the data, to delete the data, and so on. First, it was introduced only in Europe. Then it was extended to United States and Canada. And about 2 weeks ago, it's now also available in Russia and about 10 other countries, including Mexico, someone in Asia, and so on. I don't have an idea about China, probably not. The interesting thing that is backups are, this is your personal data, but backups are not available through that site. And the most interesting data is hidden under the item other data. It's actually about the iCloud. Sorry. Okay, so anyone, if you are happy enough to live in the country where that site is available, you can log on, pass two-factor authentication, or without 2FA, you'll probably have to answer the security questions. And then you put the checkboxes near the categories you want to get, and then wait exactly 1 week. I also don't know why is that, even if there is no such much data there. Apple is, first I thought that Apple is preparing the data for about a week, but then I got the email from Apple explaining that they're taking a week for checking, well, that I'm the legal owner of the data. How they do that, I have no idea. But I still had to wait. And then checklist number 4, it's also very interesting. It is available on the Apple website. It's under the government information request, and Apple describes, but not in a very high detail, what they can do and what data they can provide for the given iCloud account. You have to work for law enforcement, of course, to be able to send such a request. And but it's actually a lot, and some of that data is not available by other means, but probably it's about the same what is available under the GDPR, including backups. And there is also some metadata about the FaceTime calls. So once we analyzed all that 4 items, and we are still exploring, we're also checking the data being transferred between Apple devices and the Apple iCloud and to see the requests there. It was not really easy to implement man-in-the-middle attack, and because the certificates are pinned to the device, we were able to fool that for the jailbroken devices only, and even with a jailbreak for iOS 11, it was really hard. But then we realized that some extra data is also being transferred. Yes, iCloud syncs a lot of data. That's not only about backups and not only about applications that use them, the iCloud. And this is probably like Google did that for many years, and then Android, they still don't have complete device backups in the Google Cloud, but they were always syncing. And you don't have, when you change the Android device to the new one, you don't need to restore it from the backup. You just connect it to your Google account, and by syncing, you get everything back on your device. Apple started with another idea, with complete iCloud backups, and only then started to sync more and more data with the cloud, especially like several categories like notes. I start to write notes on the iPhone and continue on my Mac, and there is a health data, yes, synced, and photos and videos, and passwords. And pay attention to the last item. That's a file vault to recovery token. If you have selected that option, and I think it is enabled by default, then the recovery token for your Mac file vault drive will be also stored in the cloud. That's not the recovery key that you can enter manually, and it's not easy to create backup with that token. You'll have to use third-party software, but it is still possible, and that key is stored in the cloud. So anyone with a proper credential will be able to get most of that data. I know that many people disable the iCloud backups, but they still have most of the iCloud-related categories enabled. So let's move to protection and encryption. There is an article on the Apple website on the knowledge base, and they say that 128-bit as encryption is being used, and some data use so-called end-to-end encrypted data, such as like categories. These are home data, health, iCloud keychain, payment information, your credit cards. Siri information. Siri actually works, it seems to work only one way. We know that the data is there, but we weren't able to get it so far. And those categories use stronger encryption. What does that actually mean? If all the data is already encrypted, why there is a reason to encrypt it stronger? Let's also realize. The first thing that protects your iCloud data is obviously the Apple ID password, and then the two-factor authentication. 2FA is actually not available anymore. It is still being used on some older devices, but you will be able to enable it on the newer ones. The problem is also, pay attention to the last item. The encryption key is stored alongside with the data. That's like leaving the key right near the door. That's physically, the location is not exactly the same. The actual data is stored in the cloud. It's located on different servers, actually all over the world. But the keys for that data are stored only at Apple in Cupertino at their data centers. But once you have the proper credentials, the Apple ID and password and second factor is needed, you get both. For every chunk of data, you send the first request, please give me the data, then next file. You get the URL, download it, and then the second request, like, please give me the key for it, the location of the key, and with the next step, you get the key. Then you'll have to unwrap it and to apply, to decrypt all those chunks, to compile all those chunks into actual files. So that's a long and not very easy process, but still, the encryption key is stored alongside with the data. At first time, we thought that they are stored all together at the same servers, and so anyone with the physical access to the server will be able to decrypt all the data, but that's not the case. Fortunately, the keys are stored at some other servers. We are still not sure about China. We try to trace where the actual data and where the keys are stored. We know that the data is now stored for the Chinese iCloud accounts only in China data centers. But about the keys, that was actually mixed news about that. Someone from Apple said that, no, the keys all belong to us. Chinese government says that we pushed Apple, and we now own the keys. So it's not really clear, and we weren't able to trace up to the last point where the keys are actually stored. Now about data that is protected more secure. Yeah, it is really more secure. And let's start with the iCloud keychain. That's probably that's a hidden gem. All your passwords are there. Most of the people, what? Oh, okay, I'll try to get faster. The passwords are there, and the keys for some other data stored in some cloud keychain sync special service. And to access the cloud keychain, the login and password and the second factor are not enough. You will also need to enroll the device to make it trusted, something like that, to go into the trusted circle, and only that way you'll be able to access the keychain data. And for that, you'll need to know the passcode of the one of the trusted devices. And there were also some changes to authentication tokens. They are now short-lived. Some time ago, they lived, well, actually almost forever. Then the time was cut to 30 days, then for just 24 hours, and now sometimes they live for only 1 hour. Okay. Where the data is actually stored. If you're curious, they are stored in Microsoft Azure storage, at Google, and Amazon, AT&T. My data, I'm located in Russia, and I have a Russian Apple ID. It is also stored at Google somewhere in Europe, I believe. There is a law in Russia that forces all companies to store their personal data also in Russia, and it's a law for about 3 years. And Apple seemed to agree, but still the data is still not in Russia yet. I will probably skip that. You should already know how hackers get the password to access the account. The first item is phishing, of course. It's obvious. You can reset password. You can put the keylogger on the device. And the last one is also really works. It's a rubber hose cryptanalysis. Okay, about two-factor. Yes, you need to access the iCloud data. You need one of the possible second factors. You need to access the trusted device. Or there is still an option to authenticate by SMS, and it seems to be always available. When I try to access the account, the push notification is being sent to all the devices, but now it is also possible to switch to SMS. Okay. About tokens. Oh, that's actually a huge topic. We have found how to extract the authentication tokens from PC and Mac computers if the computer is logged on into the iCloud, you get the token, that's binary data, we can decrypt it and then use that token to access all the, well, most of the iCloud data without password and without the second factor. Okay, that's how the tokens are stored. I'm sorry, I didn't expect that it take so much time about two-factor authentication as well. Yeah, there are two other special categories like messages, and they're protected, yes, much better. To access messages stored in the iCloud, you need to access the iCloud keychain first. And in the iCloud keychain, you can find the key that encrypts the other key stored in CKKS storage, and use that key to decrypt all the messages and also the message attachments. So that's not easy. Also, you should know that there are actually 3 modes of the keychain, and they all are working the different way. And actually, the more secure one is for the accounts with no second factor and with no iCloud security code has been set up. In that case, the keychain data will be synced directly across the devices, but not through the iCloud itself, so we won't be able to get the iCloud keychain. Okay, here is an example of the software that is downloading the iCloud keychain. We only need to select one of the trusted devices. You see that I have many, and some of them are actually old and not connected anymore to the account. And we know the password length for iOS devices. And anyone should work. We pretend to be the trusted device, and we authenticate, and we get complete access to the cloud data. Here is a part of the data downloaded from the iCloud keychain. Apple actually says that the iCloud keychain contains only passwords and nothing else. This is not true. The last tab is about tokens, and you can see that there are a lot of tokens for Facebook, for Twitter, for WhatsApp, for several other sites like LinkedIn. So once you get access to the iCloud keychain, you basically get access to everything, to all the other accounts. Okay, about screen time, new iOS 12 feature. It also can sync with the cloud, and it is also protected about the same way as message. And that data cannot be obtained from backup, but only directly from the cloud. And it is not saved when you change the device and restore. And so it's a good idea to save it in the cloud, and we are still working on that. That's one of the biggest challenges we ever had, because there is no jailbreak for iOS 12 yet. About health, I know that my time is over. Oh, there is no sound. Hey, Per, you promised that there will be sound there. Oh, no sound. That's actually part of the presentation in September with the announce of new Apple Watches, and they were talking about the privacy, saying that the health data is always encrypted on the device and the cloud. And it's a pity that we cannot hear the sound. Anyway, you'll get a copy of the presentation and hear that. Apple says that all the data is securely encrypted, and it should be peer-to-peer encrypted, as we have seen at the other side. But on another article, it says that Apple does store the health data. Both is true. There are 2 containers related to Apple Health. One is secure, and the second is not really secure. The secure one is like the messages stored in the cloud, and so you need to access the iCloud keychain first. And the other one is open to anyone who has the authentication token and don't even need the passcode from the device. And also there are really important security risks related to 2FA. I should say that the device with 2FA and the passcode, it might be not really as secure as you think. Speaking on the iCloud, if someone will get access to your device and know the passcode, he can do everything about your iCloud account without knowing your actual iCloud password, even change the password and add his own trusted phone number. That's the links you will get in the presentation, the further reading explaining everything about the keychains, security, and encryption in the iCloud. Whew, that's it. Sorry. Oh, 30 minutes exactly.